tested and will be published by NAC War Games. And it's about the Spanish Civil War area impulse game. And we have its designer with us, Luis Negrete Leal. Good morning, Luis.
Good morning, Jose.
And Luis is going to be so kind to show us what the game is about and give us some details about the history behind the game that it recreates and the most important mechanics in the game. So what's the name of this game, Luis?
The name of the game is Ebro 38.
38, and yeah. Ebro 38, so that's Spanish Civil War.
That's the most important battle in the Spanish Civil War.
Okay.
And it represents the crossing of the Ebro, the main river in the northern region of Spain, with and at the last phases of the war. Okay, the war finished, I remember, on 1939. Okay, and the Republican side wants to try to distract the nationalists from an offensive that took place in Valencia.
So the nationalists attacked in Valencia.
Yeah, in the southern region of Spain, which was Valencia was the capital, which Republican side had to change their capital city
from Madrid
to Valencia by the risk of the fall of Madrid.
So this is an attack to distract and to try to weaken that offense, that
it's
nationalist
a kind
offensive.
of gambit. They called gambit because one of the objectives of the Republican side was to distract the nationalists from their offensive to Valencia.
Okay. So this particular game recreates that Republican offensive.
Yeah.
And when you think about offensives, you always think about, well, control of the air.
Yeah,
who had control of the air in the Ebro area?
It's an unusual role for the Republicans, which usually were in defensive positions. And now in this battle, they took the offensive position, the offensive initiative. Okay, then a surprise effect.
But the air power, who was in control of the air power in that sector?
Yeah, the nationalists controlled one of the sides of the river in Aragon region. Aragon and Catalonia was part of the map. Apart from Aragon, apart from Catalonia, between both regions, the Republican side attacked from north
to south. They're telling us we have a problem with the sound. Just a second.
Okay.
Okay, let's see now. I don't know if it's better now. Can you hear me now? Or is it the sound with Luis or my sound or both? Let me see. Just a second. Okay. Yo creo que sé lo que es. That's okay. Okay, let me see. Okay. Para mí que el sonido está entrando. Check 1, 2, yes.
Sí.
Por alguna razón aquí está.
Oye? ¿Se escucha? A ver.
Okay, I think tiene que ser acá entonces. Okay, now it should be loud. Ahora sí. Now. Thanks for the heads up back burners. Okay, it should be yeah, it's going in the yellow and red now. Okay, thank you. A ver aquí, line in. Yep, okay, we're on. Okay, so we were talking about this was a Republican offensive that was initiated because to create a distraction from the nationalist offensive in Valencia, which was gaining steam and threatened of capturing the then capital of the republic, which was Valencia. It had been changed from Madrid to Valencia. So they put together the Republicans put together this offensive in this area, that is across the Ebro River, in spite of the fact that the nationalists have more air assets in the area than the Republicans.
Yes.
Okay. So this particular battle is a long battle. I know the Ebro lasted for a while, but how much of the full Ebro campaign does the game recreate?
Yes, this is more than a battle. It's more a campaign.
It's more a campaign, yes.
For a duration of 4 months.
Yes.
4 months. The game only represents the first 10 days of battle.
Okay.
The phase of the campaign,
Yes.
which has very equal opportunities for both sides.
Okay.
The Republicans have the opportunity, have the chance of win this battle by a penetration, a deep advance towards the territory, a territory plenty of hikes, of mountains, difficult terrain, very few roads. There are some roads, very important terrain for the heavy units like tanks and artillery. And then the Republican is one of their objectives is to take the areas with roads in order to their heavy units can traverse across the difficult terrain.
Let's explain the map first to the folks that are watching.
The main areas of the map are in the center. At the center. At the center is Gandesa. Gandesa is the main town in the area.
Okay.
And the main objective of the Republicans is to penetrate, to break the front towards Gandesa. The problem is Gandesa is surrounded by a great mountain.
See, these areas over here are going to be. This is a playtest map, of course. These are mountainous. That's mountainous terrain, so it's not that easy to get to Gandesa for the Republicans. Right? They have to negotiate with those mountains there.
The second great objective for the Republicans is to break the front and try to deep penetration in enemy lines in order to take some of the zones, reinforcement zones. This was 4 areas, 4 zones.
So these are the nationalist reinforcement zones, and that's where you have a great part of the nationalist army coming to the area.
Okay, from these areas, these zones, nationalists take the reinforcements, receive reinforcement.
Okay.
Progressively during the turns. Since turn 2 and beyond, the nationalists receive reinforcement from this side of the map, only from this side of the map.
So the nationalist forces, their reinforcements come on these sides. On this side of the map, you have those boxes A, B, C, D, and A, B, C, and D. Okay.
Correct.
So that's where, I mean, if the offensive is going to be successful, that's the direction that they will be going.
Correct. Okay. The nationalist starts the game, like as you see, with very few troops.
Very few
on
troops
the map.
in the area in the center of the map. Yes.
They were surprised. They were in a poor position with many few troops, green troops, not quality
and
troops.
And the unit scale here, well, each infantry counter that you see there is what?
Yeah, there are several types of counters of units.
But the unit, are they battalions?
And the battalion is the level of organization.
Yes.
Basic level of organization. Battalion, infantry battalion, tanks companies, more companies than battalion, very few tanks.
Tank companies, yes.
They were Soviet tanks for the Republican,
Yes.
and German and Italian tanks for the nationalists.
Okay.
Cavalry, a few units of cavalry from both sides, with units at the First World War style.
Yes.
This battle formed a part of the transition, of the change, progressive change between First World War tactics and Second World War tactics.
And before we continue, the numbers that we see here, for what do they mean?
Each battalion has an affiliation with a division.
Okay.
Each division has an activation marker with a color which identifies their division.
Okay.
These units, as you can see, these units are white.
Yes.
There is no a color. This is independent.
Those are independent units. Okay.
These are independent units. And the game is based on the activation of divisions.
Okay, so they're color coded
Yeah.
because you use activation markers because it's a chit pool system, right?
Correct.
Okay, but I was asking here, the number 334, what does it mean?
The typical ciphers of attack, defense, and movement.
Okay.
Attack, defense, and movement. Okay. And each division have around 12 units, only 12 units.
Okay.
So the game is very interactive and fast because you activate one division and you can move or combat with a maximum of 12 units normally.
So this is a chit pool game where you activate units because, and also an area impulse game, because in many area impulse games you activate areas, but here you don't.
Yeah.
You activate units, and a unit can be divided in two areas, right?
Yeah.
So
It is an innovation from the main system, the area impulse system.
Yes.
These games, very old, like Breakout Normandy, Monty's Gamble, Market Garden, or the last games from MMP, like Stalingrad, Turning Point Stalingrad,
Turning
etc.
Point Stalingrad, yeah.
And Siege of Jerusalem too.
And also, in those games, you activate a unit, it conducts movement,
One area.
combat, or in those classic games, and then the unit is flipped to its spent side. But this game it has a different twist, right?
Yeah. Here you can activate not an only area, but the units all over the map, no matter where they are. You can activate with a sole activation of division activation. So both sides alternate in taking an EM, an activation marker.
Yes.
There are two cups, okay, one for each side, two cups.
So there's a cup for each side.
For extracting
their
the
activation,
EM.
respective activation.
And each cup will have inside one event.
Okay.
One only event.
An event sheet. So when you
So
draw that
The
sheet,
event, you took the event, you draw an event when you want draw an EM, an activation marker. If you draw the event, you can apply this event or keep you in your side, keep it in your hand
okay,
to play it when
play it later. Okay.
when better effect. When a better effect. Events that affect supply affects the combat force, affect the activation of two divisions instead one.
Yes.
They allow us to activate two divisions in one time,
In one impulse.
Impulse. Okay.
Now, one thing that called my attention when you were explaining to the game before we started was the river and how the crossing of the river is reflected, and you have different kinds of bridges.
Correct.
So can you explain to us how
The history of the game. The history.
how is the effect of the river reflected as to crossings and its effect on the battle?
Yeah. The game starts with a pre-turn.
So you have a pre-turn before turn one. What happens there?
Correct. It represents the night of the 25th of July, July 25 of 1938.
Yes.
During the night,
Yes.
Republicans tried to gain the surprise by crossing the river line. A gross river line is the main river in the northern Spain. Is very broad, very caudalous, and they have very difficult to cross.
This is like the widest river in Spain, right?
Yeah, the widest.
So it's not easy to cross.
Not easy to cross. So the preturn represents the preparation of the crossing. The preparation by tendering passarelas. Pasarela is a type of.
It's like what, like a pontoon bridge?
Like pontoon, something
Or
similar
less
to
like that. So
pontoon.
it's made out of wood.
Only adapted to the crossing of light units, like
Yes.
infantry.
Only
and
infantry can cross
small vehicles.
over these bridges.
Light vehicles. But you also, the Republican side also comes with iron bridges which are in construction during the night. Right, a passerelle is easy to tend. They took about 1 hour and a half to tend a passerelle, but an iron bridge requires more material, more personnel, more time to tend. So during all the night, the Republican side was tending iron bridges. So the Republican can only cross the river during the night by the passerelles.
Okay, so that means that only infantry can cross at that time.
Correct.
Until you build the iron bridges, and then you can
with
have
a limited number.
a limited number.
Only
of them.
five units, 5 battalions, light battalions, across the passerelle. And there are two boats.
And also they can cross.
The difference between boats and passerelles, right, is boats. You have to place the passerelles in the arrow directions
Yes.
of crossings, but the boats you can place it anywhere in the river line.
Okay.
Regarding of the arrows, for example here, and only 2 units, not 5 as the passerelle. Only 2 units.
2 units per
can
boat,
cross per boat.
can use a boat count.
Okay.
So
the key of the game is to advance across the territory, and depending of the type of area, there are 2 types of area: a disputed area and undisputed. Disputed and undisputed. This is common to the family
to the
of
area
this game,
impulse
okay,
mechanics.
basically 2 types of advance to an undisputed area, empty area,
undisputed.
or
yes.
advance to a disputed area.
Okay.
As you can see, many of the river lying areas are occupied by the nationalists.
The nationalists occupy many of the river areas, but they are very small forces, right?
Small forces, weak forces. So
Forces
the Republican.
and the nationalists had a lot of green troops in this area at the beginning of the game, right?
There are a role for each unit who wants to cross, a role, a kind of test of the efficiency and good development of the crossing. Like
So the crossing is not automatic.
not automatic.
So you have the limitations of the bridges and passerelles.
Only during the preturn, only
During the pre-turn.
all over the game in each turn after the crossing, no problem. 5 units can cross without a roll.
So that role is only in the pre-turn.
pre-turn.
But what I like about that is that each game is going to start differently, because you don't know
So each game is different.
how many units are going to be able to cross at each one of these crossing areas here. And you have, so the viewers can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crossing zones, which cross into the areas of the map. So each game is gonna start different. It's like the pre-turn is almost part of setup. because you're going to see which units were able to cross which won't.
Yes,
And
it's a little chaos.
so each game will play differently.
Yeah,
I like
and this difference between undisputed and undisputed zones is important in relation to the type of battle, the kind of battle you can fight with this advance. If you advance to a disputed zone, you have to combat in an incursion on.
Incursion is a raid, something like a raid.
Yeah, it's assault.
Okay, like an assault. Okay.
Or combat in the movement, while the movement. Combat
Movement. Okay.
It's harder to fight a battle with a previous advance than fight a battle
where you are already there.
In a zone when your troops are prepared, are occupying positions, have the material, the supplies listed. So the hardest battle is an incursion battle.
Okay, so in this type of battle, the defender is going to have an advantage.
The crossing requires to fight an incursion battle.
Okay, so if you cross into a disputed area, the type of battle is going to be an incursion, which is going to give the defender some advantage.
There are another type of battles in pre-disputed zone, which requires less attrition, less aleatority,
less luck, dependency on luck.
Within the zones which are disputed, for example,
this would be like a prepared assault.
This battle, for example, you activate your division and you declare a battle here. This battle will not be an incursion. It will be an assault.
A prepared assault, and your troops have to be already in the area.
There are two types of assault.
Okay.
Prepared assault,
yes.
and unprepared assault.
An unprepared assault.
Yeah.
Okay.
The difference is the use of artillery or support fire.
Okay, if you use support assets, it's a prepared assault. If you don't have any support assets to use artillery, it's unprepared.
In this game, both players have a great flexibility, a great liberty to program or to do the sequence, prepare the sequence of the combat. You in other games you have to move first, then comes the combat phase, then comes the artillery phase. No, in this game there are a great flexibility for both sides in order to program the.
So during an impulse, you can have them. You can have the artillery bombardment first.
Yeah.
Then you can have combat, and then you could have movement at the end.
Correct.
Or you can switch them around. So you can switch the actions around. It's not fixed like in other games where you have the impulse starts with movement, then artillery movement, and then combat.
This perspective is more realistic, I think. More realistic, more adapted to the reality, because in a real battle, each side use his resources in a better manner, in a better way.
It reflects,
you can first bombard. The game has a special bombardment. The standard bombardment is when artillery, but you can declare a barrage with the spending of supply points. Supplying points are like this. Are supply points which are carried on by the HQs, headquarters. The headquarters carry on the pots, and the headquarters can order a barrage by the spending of one depot.
You spend a supply point, but you keep track of supply points also, right?
Correct. There are a general reserve of supply, for each side in order to being spending during the turn.
And supplies are they fixed at the beginning of the game for the whole game,
Right.
or do you receive supplies points?
In each tour,
And each turn.
each side receives new
Okay.
reinforcement of new supply
New
points.
supply points which you can spend.
But the Republicans have the problem that the supply points depends on the bridges. If the bridges are destroyed, are fall, then there are
So the bridges, once built, they can be destroyed.
yeah.
How can they be destroyed? In what ways?
They can be destroyed by the aerial bombardment
By aerial bombardment, the nationalists have some bomber
with the bombers.
units.
The
Which are
Republican
German
has
and-
no. The
and
Republican
Italian.
have no.
They don't have any bombers.
Fighters.
They only have fighters, very
a
limited.
few fighters,
Yes.
which can influence in the attack value,
So
This is a
what they do
diminishing-
is reduce the attack value by
reducing
one.
the attack value.
Yeah.
But they don't have bombers
They don't have any bombers. Okay.
like the national. So one of the missions, the nationalist side, is to bombard the bridges.
So that's one way of
For each
destroying the
bridge,
bridges.
each bridge that it destroyed,
Yes.
each bridge that it destroyed, it provokes a diminution in
reduces reduces the supply points.
reinforcement.
Okay.
3 points of supply are destroyed.
Okay. So each
For
bridge
each-
destroyed it represents a loss of 3 supply points.
Correct.
Okay.
And each turn you receive like 20, more or less 20 points of supply. This point of supply pass from the general reserve to the HQs, to the headquarters. You can transfer up to 5 points from your general reserve to the headquarters
And transfer 5 points from general
at the
reserve.
beginning of the activation. And there are 2 types of activation: an offensive activation, offensive, and defensive activation, call it consolidation.
Okay. Consolidation.
During a consolidation activation or defensive activation, you can now attack, only moves one area, adjacent area only, to adjust the positions or adjust the front, but you only can do some actions, some limited actions, like building trenches. This is very common in the medium of the game.
So building trenches, you can only do it in a regroup action. So you
Yeah,
can't-
in the group consolidation.
There's some actions that you can only do
Not
there.
while an offensive. While an offensive, you cannot
So you cannot build
build
trenches. Okay.
trenches. The trenches are built in two steps. First step.
You have like a level 1 and level 2 trench.
Construction,
Yes. Oh, under construction.
not
Okay.
completed,
Okay, I see.
incomplete. And at the final of the turn, you flip the trench. So it takes a turn to boil a trench. The trenches are very important overall at the medium battle and beyond.
And this game, how many turns it lasts?
The 11 turns.
11 turns. So from the mid-game point onwards, you're going to see more trenches.
It's very usual. It's very frequent
So that the nationalists are trying to slow them down.
Before, yeah.
Slow them,
With,
because this battle, you said it represents like the first 10 or so days of the offensive.
Yeah, there are victory points. Republican has to add victory points during the advance. You can the Republican takes some key positions, key towns during the frame, and if the main prize, the main success for the Republican is if they manage to deep inside the territory took one of these towns.
If they take one of these zones, A, B, C, D, which are the
A, B,
zones
C,
where
D.
the nationalists
It's
enter
the
their
rear
reinforcements.
war zones.
And one thing that I notice here, there's a marker here on this corner.
It's very curious.
That says
It's a dam.
presa abierta. That means this is a dam, open dam. Can you talk about that?
A big dam in the zone, out of the map, really
Yeah, in the
geographically out of the map.
in the control of the nationalists at the time.
Aragon,
In Aragon, okay, so that's
up of the river Ebro, and the nationalist opens two times opens the dam in order to destroy the breaches.
Okay.
And difficulty in the pass. They took this decision two times
So
during
during the period that the game represents, in two occasions the nationalists opened the dam of.
The worst effect for the Republican is that their troops are in the territory yet. They have crossed, but if the bridges are destroyed, the supplies routes
don't reach them.
are cut.
So that's going to have an effect on how many attacks and they can do.
You can have your troops well positioned in the territory, but your supplies don't follow up the advance. It's a problem. Yeah. Equally, the bombardments of the nationalist bombers, which pertains to several nations: German bombers, and Italian bombers, and Spanish bombers, with a previous version to the Second World War. Stukas,
Yes, these are the
Junkers,
early types. There's the early type Stukas, Messerschmitt 109s, the Heinkels were there.
Right.
So
there are flak initial or flak units, the artillery, anti-air artillery.
what does the yellow background mean in the?
This yellow represents that this is not an attack factor like a normal an infantry unit. This is anti-tank factor.
Okay.
The flag, as you know, the flag has two different missions or two different fires.
This is the German 88 flag. Yeah, it was very versatile. It was used as artillery, as anti-tank.
Artillery fight and anti-tank fight.
Okay.
So there cause some effects in the enemy tanks, in the enemy trenches too. The flag may bombard a line of trenches of the enemy and destroy the fortifications, etc.
So that's where you use that number in that specific role.
Yeah, this in a combat. It's like a plus in the fire.
It's like a modifier. That's like a modifier.
They have a defense, one, and a mobile, like normal. But this number, the tanks have a +3, +2,
red background,
+2.
Yes.
It is not an attack factor, but a support factor. Okay? The combat is very similar to another games in this family of area impulse system. There's no combat table, as you know. The game is based on casualty points. Casualty points, which is calculated, the casualty point from a battle, by adding and subtracting some modifiers, terrain modifiers, support modifiers, etc. And the net result will be the key to determine the casualty point.
Casualty point, and you have to absorb casualty points by flipping the unit.
Yeah, if you remember, the units have two sides, not reduced side, but fresh side and
spent.
Spent means that the unit is
exhausted or. Well, spent means that they're like tired.
Have suffered attrition.
Okay.
Attrition and is tired of fight.
Yeah.
So when you have a casualty point, one casualty point flips the unit, a second casualty point disorganize the unit,
okay,
and third casualty point force the retreat of the unit or the destruction, depending on the result of the combat. So you can see the front is plenty of fresh unit now, but it's common to have the units of that division in a status of tired
and the way to bring back the unit to full strength, you would have to spend.
Correct.
Supply
the
points.
headquarters
Okay.
are a key from this recovery of the units by the spending of supply points.
Supply points.
The supply points travel and with the headquarters. It's important to place the headquarters near the battle line in order to spend one point for each unit that you have to recovery. Recovery from
Headquarters are important in order to
only
spend
one step,
supply points
one
to
step of
bring
disorder.
units to full strength.
Only one step of disorder for unit. You cannot recover a unit from
Only
two
one step
casualty
per
points.
turn. Oh, per impulse.
For punch. Its point of supply recovers one step of damage
Oh, I see.
of the unit. Only 1 point. Only one. So it's a very interactive game with alternating activations between the sides and with several phases of the battle during the battle in which one of the sides took the initiative, and the other is on the defensive posture. At the start of the battle, the Republican take the initiative and they advance. And the nationalists position in the defensive, build trenches, and they defend more than attack. But at the middle of the battle and beyond, it changes.
So you're going to have both players are going to be doing attacking and defending, but at different times.
The two divisions that the nationalists have at the start of the game, only two divisions.
Okay.
Grows up to seven divisions in total.
Okay, so you have
reinforcement.
they have a numeric manpower advantage at the beginning.
The number of the division here is the reinforcement and bombardment también. Each AM is activation marker represent a division which enters the map.
Okay.
So the battle consists basically in the fight between 10 and 8. 10 and 8 divisions. 10 from one side, 8 divisions from that. The difference between both sides are basically in quality troops. Nationalists have the better troops, better trained troops, better material, better ammunition, etc. Better more artillery, and the Republican side have a mass of combatants, a mass of soldiers. Very
more quantity versus quality.
Quantity about 60,000 from each side, more or less, but more soldiers from the Republican side, 70,000 against 50,000, more or less.
So what the game is under development right now?
Yeah, it's in the initial play test phase. There are this physical prototype, and we are designing a basal model.
Okay.
The objective is in a few days, 1 month, about 1 month, form a group of playtesters. Many of them have proved the game and they like it, and they are with a good predisposition para prove the game and playtest the game.
So this one is it in the NAC P500?
Correct.
Okay, so
Only 2 months since the.
Okay, it's been there for 2 months. Okay, good. So it's you got the tester sessions coming up. So I hope to see it in the next Bellota almost done. And who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's out. You never know.
Maybe.
So Luis, thank you for explaining to us.
Thanks to you.
Ebro 38. I'm interested in anything about the Spanish Civil War, so I'm gonna keep a close eye. And I wish you the best of success.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for you, Jose, and good morning. Or good afternoon, depends on when the video for the spectators of your channel, your followers. Okay.
Thank you.